You know, people in my part of the world just can't understand why I say the things I say about Donald Trump. And in return, I can't understand why they can't see through Donald Trump. The only thing I can figure at this point is you just don't want to admit out loud that you've been duped. And you don't want to admit that your neighbor here in East Tennessee has been right this entire time. So you're just digging in your heels because you're invested now in this character like a bad sitcom, and you're rooting for the bad guy, and you're just going to hang on for dear life till it's over, and then you're going to try to pretend like later that you really had nothing to do with it. I know that phase is coming one day. Just remember I called it. It will be the, yeah, well, I never really liked him phase, but I'm always going to bring the receipts and remind you that, yeah, you went in for this madness. But what is so mind-boggling to me, and why I say to myself, why can't you guys see through it, is because if you tried Donald Trump's act on for size yourself, you wouldn't make it nowhere in life. Right here in little sleepy East Tennessee where I'm at, you wouldn't be able to survive at your job if you went to work and acted like Trump every day. And if you tried to go to bat for a guy like that and get him hired on, they wouldn't hire him. And I absolutely love this next clip from Eric Swalwell with Ben Meiselas, because this is the truth if it's ever been told. Take a look.
If I called you and I was like, hey, Ben, buddy, I've known you for 20 years, and I know you have a growing company, and I was hoping that you would hire a friend of mine in need, you would be like, yeah, sure. What is your friend, what are his qualifications? And I said, well, Ben, he's a convicted felon, but it's only 34 felonies, and he's a rapist. But I think you may be able to help him out. He's only been bankrupt 6 times. And Ben, I should tell you, because it'll probably come out, the last office from which he was fired, he sent his friends to violently storm it. If I told that to like any friend, as people always call and say, hey, can you consider hiring somebody? They would look at you and say, like, are you crazy? Like, no one's hiring this guy. So like, why are we going to hire him? And so again, it's just so basic. And I think we're best when we're basic in our message.
So then I go to you. All right, Eric, Congress member, look, we're friends. I'll take the phone call. Thanks, Ben. So I take the phone call, and then he goes, have you seen Kamala? She's on the cover of Time magazine. I go, hang up. I mean,
I absolutely love that, because that is so true. If you were to go to bat for a guy like that and try to get him hired on where you work, he wouldn't get the job. But if he did get the interview and he sat across from your boss and he talked the way Trump talks with Trump's record, that he would never get hired, and your boss would come back to you and he would be like, listen, don't you ever recommend anyone for this position again. I'm not taking your word for nothing. And truthfully, that boss would probably pop some kind of random drug test up on you, because he would never trust your judgment after that. He would never take you seriously again if you went to bat for a guy like Trump, yet people are still going to bat for him every day. But I want to call them out on this. They've not fully leaned in and embraced it. I know some of you are saying, Brando, they're still dedicated. No, they're not all the way dedicated. Because why they'll sit and defend it. And they'll sit and call out people like me and you, and they'll say, why do they have anything bad to say about Trump? Deep down they know that if they actually tried his act on for size, they wouldn't make it past the end of the driveway. They wouldn't. They would not survive at work. They wouldn't survive anywhere in their little hometown if they truly leaned in and acted like Donald Trump everywhere they went. And if you don't believe me, I want you to do me a favor. Just go to church, and when the minister makes the altar call at the end, stand up. Do not kneel, okay? Just stand to your feet and say, I don't know why I'd have to ask for forgiveness. I just don't bring God into my life that way. And see the kind of reaction you get from that minister. See the kind of reaction you get from your church members. And tell your church members that you don't really have a favorite verse. You can't name one of them. If they ask you to, say, no, I can't do it. That's personal to me. See how far you get with that. Tell them that you think both testaments are equal. Tell them you go to the Sunday churches. They would look at you like you had lizards crawling out of your ears if you did that. You would not get anywhere with that. Go to work and talk to the women the way Trump does. Go to work and talk to black people the way Trump does. Walk in anywhere and try his act on for size and tell me how far you get. You wouldn't get nowhere. Yet you sit back and you defend this stuff because you think it's funny, and because he's talking about people that you hate and people that you fear, and you really hate people on the left. So more than anything, you just love the idea of him getting under our skin. You love the idea that in your mind he's owning liberals, but he's not. He's exposing himself for who he is, and in doing so, he's exposing you for who you are, and we're seeing through you now, and we know who you are. We don't have to wonder anymore where you're at. You've let us know exactly who you are, and you've let us know what you will go along with. And we've also seen that you won't fully lean into it and embrace it all the way. So that tells us that deep down you know it's wrong. So see, we got you cornered no matter where you go. We see through it. To everybody that can't understand why I say the things I say about Trump, I can't understand why you would be willing to go out there and die on that hill. That none of the things he says has ever been a deal breaker. You couldn't call out one thing. That's what's crazy to me. Not just one. It'd be different, if you said, you know what, now I love these things about him, but this over here I don't like. His insults to women, his insults to immigrants coming to this country to make their life better, his insults to black people, his insults to the gay community, his insults to veterans. Who have I left out? I'm sorry if I have. The insults he's hurled on everyone has never been a deal breaker. You can't go into one of those things. You can't go into one of his indictments, into one of his felonies, none of those things. You can't pick out one that you think is wrong. You just think that it's all okay. But you wouldn't get hired at work if you had his resume. And you wouldn't make it one day at work if you went in and acted that way. And if you think I'm just making this stuff up, pulling this stuff out of my ass, just do me a favor, try it on for size. But make sure that your coworker videos it, okay? Because I want to see it. I want to see you walk into the boss's office and say, I need immunity. I don't need to play by none of the rules at this factory. None of these rules needs to apply to me. I got to be able to do my job. Go to work and say that and videotape it and send it to me. I want to see your boss's reaction. And I for sure want to see your minister's reaction when you say that you don't see why you would ever have to ask for forgiveness. Yeah, I want you just go right down on Veterans Day. I want you to go right down to the high school. They usually have those little, they'll have these celebrations for the veterans. I've been to several of them with my kids. Go down to one of those and just stand up and shout as loud as you can any of the insults that he's hurled. Call them suckers and losers. Grow a real set of balls and walk up to a veteran and call them that to their face. See how far you get. I'm sick and tired of watching you all just defend this stuff and you don't have the guts to lean into it. Tells me everything I need to know about you.